Hello, my name is Rachel Neidlinger, and welcome to my podcast on how to effectively modify school-wide PBIS systems in order to support students with autism spectrum disorder, ASD. So first of all, PBIS stands for the Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports that are used within schools and corporations. Many times these are typically coined as your incentive programs or reward systems within a school to get students to have more positive behavior or positive culture within your school. So it's not always the case that it should just be those positive overall culture of a whole corporation. According to the Center on PBIS, if you're wanting your whole school to have long term positive results with these programs, it really needs to be something that is consistent. It uses evidence based practices in all areas of the school, starting within your individual classrooms. It should engage the whole community and allow them to know what you're doing and what this PBIS system looks like. And most importantly, it should use data to back the decisions that you're making um, to put these systems in place. Is it successful? Is it something we need to improve on? What changes can we make? Those types of things need to be looked at regularly to gather that data. So there are some key points from the first statement that I made. So for example, the word effectively. Effectively means making sure that the modification works and is successful for the students with ASD and the school as a whole. Secondly, modifying means that you're making a change to something. So if we're continuing to do the same thing over and over again and it's not successful, then that's not modifying it. So this is specifically for our students with ASD. Sometimes they need a modified program to find that success within a PBIS system, more supports, or something that looks a little different than the rest of the students. So nothing in education is a one size fits all, and the PBIS system is not an exception to this. In addition to that, for anything in education to be successful, there has to be communication and collaboration with the whole team. So this starts with administration within your building. There needs to be productive communication and strategies put in place to ensure that all the members of the team are creating and contributing to the PBIS system so that everyone is on board to produce positive results for our students with ASD. So the PBIS starts in the classrooms, like I had mentioned earlier, and then helps build the culture of the building as a whole because of the expectations that are set within our individual classrooms. So according to Casey Brown and Morgan Hugoboom, in the article 12 Examples of PBIS Strategies for the Classroom, there need to be strategies specifically in classrooms to help promote overall positive school results, and this refers to the PCBS or the positive classroom behavior supports. Without these, it's hard to have an overall class or overall school environment that is successful. So these are all examples that can be taken to administration. So one of the examples would be the strategy of all classrooms creating classroom expectations and following them consistently. For our students with autism, this is especially important to make sure that these classrooms have expectations and they know what the rules are, and if those rules are broken or bent, what would be the consequence or the follow-up to that. We can also develop and teach classroom routines to ensure that students have clarity and understanding on that expected behavior, and then also making sure that we have thoughtfully designed classroom environments that are flexible for our students but yet organized enough to allow for their student success. Um, I believe it is important that administrators understand that these strategies can be exhibited differently in each classroom by each teacher and should be different for the individuals in each classroom, including those with ASD, might look a little bit different. So the common goal should be to produce more positive behaviors and encourage those positive behaviors that are already happening within our schools and classrooms, because we all know there are positive behaviors happening. So the way that we could build this into our services for our students with ASD to make sure that they're given the same opportunities as everybody else to receive these incentives is building in directed study or functional learning classes into their schedule, specifically focusing on direct instruction on how do we react to certain expectations, what should our behavior look like in classrooms, and giving them that opportunity to practice for their success, giving them strategies to go into these classrooms and into the real world and figure out how am I supposed to act in certain situations. And that's talked about in the Autism Spectrum News article by Christine Alter about how we can reach these students with ASD and give them those strategies. We also provide services such as counseling or related service areas that work on these skills. And we can write that into the IEP as well to give these students that more opportunity for success. So accommodations that could be written in as well are allowing the students for a cool down pass or a break pass throughout the day to be able to take a couple minutes, walk away from a situation that may be frustrating, and then come back to it. Another one would be extended time in order to avoid frustrations during testing or a longer assignment. Um, those can all cause behaviors, and if we can avoid that and set the student up for success, especially those with ASD and those that have a mindset that is very structured, they may just need that time to process and do the work at their own pace. Another big one is preferential or flexible seating, allowing the student to be up and moving if they need to, standing desk in the back, a wobble stool, whatever is conducive to their learning so that these behaviors don't escalate and they still have the opportunity to participate in these PBIS programs that allow them for incentives. So, for example, a way that I would use it in a real world setting or in a classroom is allowing a student with ASD to have a little bit different timing for their rewards. They may need more immediate gratification. So, for example, um, we could create a punch card or a sticker chart to where if they're doing well in a certain class, they immediately receive that punch or sticker in order to work towards smaller tokens of incentive to work their way to the larger overall school PBIS reward. So, although this isn't the same as everybody else, this is individualized for our students with ASD to give them more opportunity to be successful rather than setting them up for failure and watching that success within the whole school program of PBIS.